Cold email deliverability is by far the most important factor when it comes to sending cold emails and getting results with cold emails in 2024 and going into 2025. I know a lot of people ask me, how do I get better deliverability? How, I feel like this campaign is not really working. I feel like the reply rate is too low. I feel like I'm not really getting into the primary inbox of my prospects. I feel like I'm landing spam. I don't really know what's going on. I don't really know how to get better deliverability. How do I do this, right? So I feel like many people, many companies are struggling with this at the moment. And this seems to be the biggest problem when it comes to getting results with cold emails, right? A year ago, it was, how do I get the pitch right? How do I get the messaging right? How do I get the target right? Now, this year, and probably more the next year going into 2025, it's more going to be, how do I get the deliverability where it needs to be? How do I get the deliverability right? So in this video, I will show you how you can get 98%+ cold email deliverability for your campaigns. Until this point, we've sent more than a million cold emails for more than 20 clients using more than 5,000 accounts that we are actively managing on over 3 sending platforms. So, that being said, I feel like I'm pretty confident in explaining you how you can get high deliverability for your sending accounts and for your campaigns, right? So I grouped these tips in 3 main sections. The first one is the setup. So the setup of all the sending infrastructure and everything you need to do. The second one is actually sending emails. And then the third one is, once you have the deliverability right, actually keeping it where it needs to be, actually keeping good deliverability through, checks, controls, tests, whatever, right? So let's get started with the setup. First of all, biggest mistake most B2B companies, most people do whenever they start a cold email campaign and they don't have experience is just, using the primary domain for outreach. This seems pretty stupid, but most people actually still do this. And so the problem with this is that even if your cold emails are the best cold emails in the world, and they're super targeted, they have a pretty good offer, pretty good targeting, everything is perfect, everything is good, which almost in all of the cases it never is. Even if your cold emails are the best ones, some people will still mark them as spam, right? And so when that happens, your health score decreases and your deliverability decreases. But this is not a problem because you're using the primary domain, your primary company domain for outreach. The problem is you're damaging your primary domain. And so what that means is that now all of your invoices, all of your emails to clients, all of your internal emails will start landing in spam more because your domain is damaged, right? So basically, short explanation for never use your primary domain for outreach. Use secondary outreach domains instead. They're so cheap, they're so easy to get, and so you just open up Porkbun, or you use another website, which is Yonos, which I also like to buy outreach domains for cold emails. And so you use one of these websites and you buy secondary domains for outreach, right? So what you want to do is you want to buy .com domains, outreach domains only, right? Because all of the other ones like .ai, .info, .agency, .net, they are not good for deliverability. And especially like if you can get those .coms for like $12 a year, those are the best ones. They are the best one for deliverability. And so just get those. They're not expensive, right? So you want to set up 2 mailboxes, maximum 2 mailboxes per domain. Don't set up 10 mailboxes per domain, because at the end of the day, what matters is the inbox volume as well as the domain volume, right? So let's say that you don't want to go over, 100 cold emails per domain. Well, you can decide if you want to send, 1 cold email per inbox and setting up 100 inboxes, or 100 cold emails per inbox and set up one inbox, right? But at the same time, 100 cold emails per inbox is just too high inbox volume. So you want to spread that volume across 2 mailboxes, right? 2 mailboxes, just do 50 per mailbox and you'll be good, right? So the next tip is do a 33% split between Google, Outlook, and private infrastructure. And so the reason why I'm saying this is because right now, Google, a month is cracking down on cold email. The next month, Outlook is cracking down on cold email. And so you really need to diversify your bets. You really need to diversify your sending infrastructure to get the best results all the time. And so this is why I recommend, because, if you had, for example, 100% Google or Outlook inboxes, 2 months ago when Outlook basically cracked down on cold emails and you couldn't even send cold emails from Outlook accounts. Well, if you had just 100% Outlook accounts, you were completely screwed, right? We had a 33% split, all of this stuff, between Google, Outlook, and private infrastructure. So only 33% of our infrastructure got screwed, and the rest, the remaining 70 or 67%, kept working well, right? So that's why you need to diversify your sending infrastructure and your providers for the email accounts, right? Then what you want to do is you want to do the warm-up. I still think warm-up is a good thing in 2024, 2025. Some people say warm-up is not, it's not really working. I'm just talking, from based on my tests, based on my deliverability tests and what I see in my sending accounts and my sending platforms. Warm-up is working well, is outperforming email accounts that are not using warm-ups. So I do recommend running warm-up, at least 2 weeks of warm-up, and then turn warm-up off and then start sending cold emails, right? You either, this depends. Honestly, I would just recommend you to run tests. We've seen good results with just 2 weeks of warm-up and then turning warm-up off, and also with the 2 weeks of warm-up and then keeping the warm-up on, in the meantime that we send cold emails, right? Honestly, I think the 2 weeks of warm-up in the beginning are the most important ones, are the most important factor, and then you can decide based on the results. Honestly, I would just recommend you to split test this, but this is just what I'm seeing on my end, right? You want to do a cold email ramp up, and you want to cap at 25 emails per day per account if you are setting up 2 mailboxes per domain, right? So you want to cap at 25 emails per day per account because, if you are sending warm-up, you're also sending 20 emails per day, 20 warm emails per day, and then you're also on top of that, you're sending 25 cold emails per day per account. So you want to stop at like 50, 45 emails, total emails per day per account. That, leaves you at 90 to 100 cold emails per day per domain, which is a good number that we've seen work well. So when I say ramp up, I mean that the first week you send 5, the second week you send 10, the third week you send 15, and so on until you get to 25 cold emails per day per account. You want to use a tool like smartly.ai, which I'm going to type here, which allows you to do this ramp up thing, effortlessly. So you don't really need to change the settings every week. That being said, let's go to the sending emails section. Now, you want to understand this concept about deliverability, right? The more cold emails that you send and that get marked as spam, the more cold emails sent from the same Irish accounts and the same Irish domains are likely to get marked as spam and to land in spam, right? Land in your prospects' spam inboxes, right? So therefore, a lot of these tips that you will see here are about reducing the spam complaint rate so that more of your emails will land in the primary inbox rather than spam, right? So first of all, you want to validate the emails to keep the bounce rate low, and you want to keep the bounce rate low because the bounce rate is essentially, you get a bounce when you are sending a cold email to a mailbox that doesn't exist, that is just not existing. And so that is a bounce. And so if your bounce rate is high, then what that tells Google and Outlook is that you are sending cold emails, you're sending emails to mailboxes that don't exist, people you might, or accounts that don't even exist. And so that is a red flag to Google and Microsoft because that's not normal. That's not normal activity, right? In theory, if you're sending an email, which is what Microsoft and Google actually want, if you're sending an email, you know the recipient, you know the person, and so you're supposed to send an email to a mailbox that actually exists, right? So that being said, you want to keep the bounce rate low, and to do that, you want to validate the emails, the email leads, the email addresses that you're sending the campaign to before you launch the campaign. You want to use a tool like mailverifier.com. This is perfect. I would say this is good. No need to overcomplicate this stuff, right? So then you also want to format the list properly. So what I mean by this is cleaning like the first name, cleaning the company names, cleaning whatever whatever custom field you mention in the campaign, right? If you are mentioning the job title, you don't want to say, "Hey John, I noticed that you are the Chief Technology Officer." That sounds weird, right? You want to say, "Hey John, notice you're the CTO at company name," right? So all of that stuff, you want to format your lead list properly. And I put company name here because I think it's the most important field that basically everyone messes up because when you're downloading a list from a common list building tool, like for example, Apollo is going to give you, or other list building tools as well, they're going to give you the legal company name, which also includes like LLC, Inc., Limited, all of those acronyms and all of those words that you don't want to mention in the cold email. Otherwise, it's just going to look super weird, and they're going to understand, your prospects are going to understand that yours is an automated campaign, right? So you want to format your list properly because of that reason, because if they see that it's an automated campaign, they're probably going to mark your email as spam. And so that leads me to this concept right here. You want to reduce the spam complaint rate as much as you can. Third tip is use spin tags to create different variations of the email, right? So spin tags is essentially a mechanism that most email sending platforms at this point do have. And it's essentially a mechanism that allows you to create different combinations of the email. So for example, the easiest example to give you is whenever you are sending the greetings, you can send like hi, hello, hey, stuff like that. And basically, once you once you type this in your cold email sending software, what it's gonna do is it's gonna, for one email it's gonna send hi, for another email it's gonna send hello, for another email it's gonna send hey, so that all of your emails will be kind of different, right? Now this depends on how much spin tags you use. I recommend to put spin tags on basically every sentence that you use in your cold emails, right? Because at this point, using all of these tips, like cold email deliverability is so important that you want to use all of these tips, right? If you're not, validating emails, if you're not using spin tags, or if you're not, let's say, if you're not using the 2 weeks of warm up, if you're not doing just one thing, then your deliverability might be completely screwed, right? So I recommend you to do all of these, right? And so, as I was saying, you want to use spin tags on all of your email copy, all of the sentences, everything, right? Even the signature, if you are capable of doing, like if you can, if the sending software allows you to do that, then do that as well, right? Because people like, Google and Microsoft are starting to notice that some senders actually send the same cold emails, and that's weird, and so that shouldn't happen. So they're gonna block you, right? That's basically why we want to send spin tags. We want to use spin tags. So the fourth tip is don't use spam words. And so you can use a tool like mailmeteor.com, the spam checker specifically, to check whether your email copies and your email scripts have spam words inside. If that's the case, then just remove them or replace those words with words that are not marked as spam, or they're not considered spam by the spam checker, right? Just simple stuff like you don't want to send dollar signs. You don't send dollar signs. You don't want to send buy now, or you don't want to send book a call. Those are all words or sentences that are considered spam, and therefore the more of these you send, the more likely your emails are going to be marked or land in the spam box of your prospects, right? Because of the spam filters that Google and Microsoft have. So an additional tip is not use HTML, just send plain text emails. HTML is like, whenever you send images, that's gonna use HTML. But in general, most sending platforms like Smartly.ai are gonna allow you to send a plain text email. It's literally a setting, it's literally a button that you have to click. Just click the button, just send plain text emails, just enable plain text for your cold email campaigns, and you're gonna be fine, right? Then you want to use an opt-out sentence, not a link, just a sentence, to stay compliant with cold email laws, and also to give your prospects a possibility to opt out of your cold email campaigns, right? And your sequences. So this is like, you don't need to send a link to stay compliant with the cold email laws in the US, not in the EU, because can spam laws, which are the laws that are specific to cold email, in this case, don't necessarily say that you have to send a link, right? You just have to send an opt-out or a way for the prospect to opt out of your cold email campaign, of your email sequence, right? Or to unsubscribe. Now, don't quote me on this. If you're not sure, just read the laws or consult a lawyer. Then you want to send relevant outreach, because irrelevant cold emails get marked as spam. So this is important, right? This is an important concept to understand. This leads me to this concept right here, right? you want to reduce your spam complaint rate as much as possible. And so if you send irrelevant outreach, if you send irrelevant cold emails that your prospects don't like, they maybe they're completely irrelevant to them. They say something that doesn't really relate to them. They give them an offer that doesn't really relate to their current situation. They're completely irrelevant. They're going to mark it as spam, right? And so what it does is it just increases your spam complaint rate, and that's bad because then more of your emails will land in the spam box of your prospects instead of landing in the inbox, right? So overall, you just want to think about your outreach approach. You want to think about your cold email campaigns and make sure that you send relevant outbound outreach and not irrelevant stuff or garbage that gets marked as spam, right? The next thing is use short sequences, right? So when I say this, I mean 2 to 3 steps max. So what that means is 1 cold email and then 1 follow-up or 2 follow-ups in this case. So why this? Well, the thing is every follow-up after the third follow-up, or actually after the third step, which is the second follow-up, is much more likely to get marked as spam. This is something I saw in campaigns, quite a few months ago, and that's when we started to send shorter sequences instead of sending like 5, 6, 7 step sequences as we were doing. Basically, also the third step, fourth step, and so on, don't really get a high reply rate. So that's almost a waste of sending volume, a waste of sending capacity, right? So it has 2 benefits, sending short sequences. Number 1, gets you a higher reply rate and is a better use of your sending capacity because you're sending more emails that get replies actually. And then number 2, you reduce your spam complaint rate because you're not sending too many follow-ups. Just think about that. Like if you send 9 follow-ups to a prospect, they're gonna be pissed off. They're gonna be annoyed by your sequence. They maybe don't want to hear back from you again, and so they're gonna mark it as spam, right? That's always the thing you want to avoid. You want to avoid people marking your emails as spam. And so sending 9 steps in an email sequence is a guaranteed way to have a higher spam complaint rate, to be honest. Now, you want to use an automation to pause campaigns if the bounce rate is above 3%. And this leads me to the concept right here. Validate emails to keep the bounce rate low. And what I told before about the bounce rate needs to be low. Ideally, lower than 1%, 2% is good. If you're getting more than 3%, I might want to rerun the lead list through a verification. Yeah, as I said before, revalidate the lead list and then resume the campaign and then see if the bounce rate decreases. Maybe you just forgot to validate the email list, and so you just needed to verify the list again, right? Another thing is send uniformly during the day. And what that means is you want to send an email every 15 to 20 minutes instead of sending all the emails at once. Like for example, at 10 a.m., you send 20 emails all at once from all your sending accounts. Doesn't make any sense. That definitely gives Google and Microsoft an opportunity to will see that you're probably spamming prospects, you're probably spamming people, right? And to block your emails therefore. So tools like Smart.ai allow you to do that. So Smart.ai is the tool that I recommend to send cold emails. You just want to put like a number in a setting that is an email sender accounts section, and that's it. You don't need to do anything else. And that takes care of sending uniformly during the day for you. So for new outreach domains and outreach accounts, send to Google users first for the first 14 days to build their reputation first, and then start sending to Google users. So this is something that we've seen just in the last few weeks, that basically Google now marks as spam most emails that come from domains newer than 30 days, right? So if you bought a new domain, and then you set up Google Workspace accounts on that domain and you start sending emails immediately, then Google is probably going to mark those emails as spam because the domain is very new, or they're going to put basically a small flag in the email when prospects receive your email that tells the prospect that this domain has been recently created or something like that, right? So you don't want to put that because you want to avoid that as much as possible because that's friction. If prospects see that flag in the email they receive, they're going to be pretty skeptical. Again, as I said, this is something that we've just noticed on our campaigns, but this could change in the next 30 days. Honestly, right now, cold email is much harder, harder to get good than it was a year ago. So things change every month. So this is something that we've seen in the last few weeks. So if you're seeing this video now, then I would consider implementing this. If you're seeing this video, a month or 2 months later, then something else might actually work better, right? If you're just looking for what works better for cold email deliverability right now, just send me a DM on Twitter or LinkedIn, and I'll get back to you, right? So one more thing is keep the ESP matching turned off. Now, ESP matching is essentially a setting that you can use in Smart Lead. You can use that setting, in most cold email setting platforms. And so basically, if you have, I'll give you this example. If you have like 10 accounts, 5 accounts are Google accounts and 5 accounts are Outlook accounts, and then we have a lead list of, some prospects use Google, some prospects use Outlook for their provider, for the email provider. ESP matching is going to use your Google accounts to send cold emails to prospects who are using Google as well, and your Outlook accounts to send emails to prospects that are using Outlook as well, right? So right now, again, this is something that we're seeing right now. These 2 tips specifically. Right now, ESP matching is actually working worse than not using ESP matching, right? So, Google to Outlook is working better, and Outlook to Google is working better than using ESP matching. So that's why, if you're seeing this video now, I recommend you to keep this setting turned off, right? So one more thing is, this is valid all the time, I think, is rotate email copy faster, right? So that is because with the new Google rules, they are basically just picking up on outbound copy faster, right? So basically, if you change it up more often, more frequently, maybe you want to change your copy every week, every 2 weeks, then you also want to send different variants just for the sake of having different scripts that are running on your cold email campaign. That helps, right? That helps getting to the inbox, because at some point, Google might see that you're sending the same email copy, even though you put spin tags, even though you put a lot of spin tags, as I said before here, use spin tags, even though you're using a ton of spin tags, your email copy is almost pretty much the same. Like, it's pretty much the same offer, same email structure. So they might see that you're sending the same stuff, and they might block your emails, right? That's why I recommend you right now to rotate your email copy faster. And then the last thing is use a soft call to action, because prospects honestly are tired of people in their inbox asking for 15 minutes of their time. And so I think that cold emails that use a hard call to action, like asking for a call, have a higher chance of getting marked as spam compared to cold emails that are just looking to provide value, are looking to provide something that is helpful or valuable to the prospect. They're not asking for a call. Maybe they're asking if something like a valuable document or whatever, a relevant case study or whatever that's relevant to the prospect actually helps or is useful. So those types of cold emails, I think, are much more likely to get received well and just generate interest, and also, of course, gets fewer spam complaints, right? So going to keeping your deliverability high. Now that you set up your sending infrastructure the proper way, you're sending cold emails the proper way, you're avoiding all of these mistakes, and you are actually using spin tags, you're validating your email addresses, you're not using spam words, you're not using HTML, you're using opt-out sentence, and all of that stuff. Now it's about keeping your deliverability high, right? So to do that, you want to run these tests twice a month, right? We do these tests once a week, but honestly, if you're not a cold email agency, I would think that just twice a month is enough. So you want to run an inbox placement test. And so inbox placement test for all of your accounts to determine and assess the health of your accounts. You can use emailguard.io, specifically their inbox placement tests, as you can see here. So that's what I recommend. And then for monitoring blacklists as well, you want to monitor if, for example, some of your domains are blacklisted, you want to monitor them, and specifically using the blacklist monitoring of emailguard.io as well. I think it's a great website to check for these things, use these tests. And then you also want to check the individual mailbox reply rate, right? So if you're using Smart Lead, which is a tool I recommend, if you're going to a campaign and you're scrolling down a little bit, you will see a button on here on the top right corner with Show Email Account Performance, right? You want to click on Show Email Account Performance, and this screen is going to pop up. And basically what you're going to see is These are all my email accounts that I connected to the campaign. You want to look at the reply rate of each specific email account, right? So as you can see here, these are pretty high. Got 8%, 6%, 5%, 5, 4, 2%. And so you want to look at these numbers, which are basically the individual mailbox reply rates. And if any of these are like 1% or even lower than 1%, then you might want to think about replacing the mailbox or completely the domain, the average domain, right? So if overall you run these tests twice a month, and if the email placement tests show that some of your emails are landing in spam, some of your email addresses are actually sending cold emails that land in spam, the mailbox is getting a low reply rate on the campaign specifically here, then you might want to think about replacing the domain and set up a new one with fresh inboxes, right? They're pretty cheap at the end of the day, so no huge deal. That being said, that's pretty much everything that we do to get 98% plus cold email deliverability. That's what I recommend you to do. And so, honestly, this is not super easy to get started. There's a lot of stuff. So if you are looking to outsource your lead generation, or you're looking for an outbound acquisition partner, then just click on the first link in the description below and book a call with me. I hope to see you on the call. No worries if not, you can watch all of my other videos on YouTube. They're pretty valuable and I hope they help. That being said, I hope to see you in the next video, and thanks for watching.